This episode is part of a series entitled A Shero's Journey. Every good story has a hero, or a Shero in this case, and every hero and Shero faces a similar set of challenges. Every few weeks, I'm going to introduce you to an incredible woman, a real woman, just like yourself, who has overcome real challenges to create a wonderful, fulfilling life. My hope for this series is to not only empower you, but to encourage you to trust in yourself and to know that no matter what you face, you can come through it happier and bolder and brighter than you ever thought possible because you are stronger and more capable than you realize. So pop in those earbuds, my friend, and let's go. Today's guest is the incredible Tiffine Canepa. Tiffine is a high conflict mediation coach. She was trained by the renowned Rebecca Zung. Tiffine helps people navigate narcissistic divorces and toxic business partnerships and high-stake family battles. Drawing on her personal experience and her background working at a law firm, Tiffine equips her clients with the strategies and mindset they need to take their power back and protect what matters most and walk into every negotiation ready to win. Tiffine is 52. She's divorced. She lives in Wyoming, the land of Longmire. And for those of you not familiar with the Netflix series Longmire, assuming you like cowboys, of course, I highly recommend it. Tiffine and I met through our mentor, Kathleen Cameron of Diamond Academy. During one of our weekly Zoom calls, I was sharing about the power of RTT, and afterwards, Tiffine reached out and said, "Hey, I'm a high conflict mediation coach. We need to talk. There's synergy in what we offer our clients." And we talked, and boy, is there ever. So Tiffine has had RTT herself, and hopefully she's willing to share a little bit about it. However, I'm going to stop talking now and bring on Tiffine. Hello, Tiffine.
Hi, Amy. Thank you so much for having me today.
Oh, it's my pleasure to have you. It's my pleasure. People need to know about you. So we've discussed how every good story has a hero, or in this case, a Shero, and every Shero faces a similar set of challenges. So my listeners know all about that bio I just gave, but I want to back up because I want you to fill in the blanks. I want you to share with us what led you to become a high conflict mediation coach in the first place. So please, Tiffine, fill in the blanks for us.
Sure. And again, Amy, thank you so much. It's an honor to be here with you. I adore you. So thank you.
I love you back.
So to fill in the blanks, how I landed here as a high conflict negotiation coach, I would like to say that 99.9% of us that are out there got here because we went through it ourselves, either through a divorce from hell or a business partnership that was going south and toxic. In fact, that's how Rebecca Zung kind of really got started in a lot of this. And it was her having a business partner who was a narcissist, trying to navigate how to get out of that. And then, of course, there's also the folks that was raised by a narcissist or they're going through something. You would be absolutely amazed on how many people show up needing help that are stuck in a family dynamic from hell, trust fund estates that are involved and things like that, how yucky that gets. And of course, we all know if there's money involved and things like that. So the majority of us get here from our own experience, and mine was a divorce. Mine was a marriage, an incredibly narcissist, abusive, alcoholic marriage.
Wow! And how long were you married?
About 20 years. Well, we were together for about 23 years.
23 years. And how long have you been divorced now?
3 years.
3 years. Okay, awesome. So you're proof you can live beyond it, so to speak, or get through it.
Oh my goodness. I can't tell you, I can't emphasize enough that when you get through the other side, I promise you life is going to be so much better. You're going to feel better. You're going to have peace. You're going to experience joy and love again and a strength and a peace that you didn't even know existed. I mean that sincerely.
Because, when you're in that, you can't see any of that, right?
You can't, and to be at full transparency, I was in a really dark place. I was in a hole that I did not know how to get out of. And you stop sharing with people. At the beginning, when things start happening in the beginning of the marriage, you think, that's not right, or that kind of goes against my moral compass, or that I don't think that we're allowed to treat each other that way, or why is he lying about something as simple as what he ate for breakfast? Like, what are we doing here? I don't understand what's going on. But you also fell head over heels in love with this person, and now you've married them, and now you're wanting to build a life with them. So you think, I'm going to choose to maybe not be so needy or not ask questions as much, or why, or then they start the gaslighting, and then you start to, and it just slowly chips away. And all of a sudden you don't know whether you're standing up, sitting down, going left, going right. And they've got you just so messed up in your head. And it's a slow burn. And then there's periods, right? In that 20-year period where it is clear as day that something is really wrong, that this is really unacceptable, this behavior, these lies, this sickness, this, the physical abuse, all the things that come with it. And then it's just a slow chip. And all of a sudden you've gained 50 pounds, you're slumming in your clothes, you hadn't brushed your teeth for 2 days, you might be, self-medicating, drinking wine just to get through it. You've got this pit in your stomach when they come home, and then you have children with them. And then I think that really is what I believe is the clincher of what forces you to stand up and really look at what is going on, because now you have other human beings involved.
Yeah, the kids.
Yeah.
So can I ask you a question? It didn't start out this way for you and him, though, did it?
It did not. No, it never does for anybody. If you go and you read about narcissism and the abuse, there's stages that you go through. And the first stage is love bombing. And it is incredible. It typically, for most people, it is the best love you've ever experienced. You felt seen, you feel here. It's good sex. There's something about them that is just, you're just magnetized by them. And it's fast and it's furious. And listen, I waited to get married until I was 30 years old. I had dated other men before. I had other men who wanted to marry me, but nothing, I knew it was never right. And here comes this sexy man. And he was incredibly manly. He did all the things that I love to do, right? We camped, we hiked, we golfed, we laughed, we turned up the music, we danced. We just danced, and we traveled, and we vacationed, and we just had so much fun. And it was probably within 3 months that he's looking at me saying, I can't believe nobody has swept you up. I'm so in love with you. I want to marry you. I want to have a family with you. And I remember at the time going, you know what, Tiffany? I think I should put my walls down. I think I should lean into this. Like, this is really good. I'm going to do that. I have always kept my walls up. I've always, was like, no, I just never really allowed anybody 1,000% get that close to me. And I'm like, no, it's time. It's time. Let's do this. And so when you put your walls down like that, one of the reason your walls were up is to protect yourself, right? It's like, I am not going to be a fool. I am not going to be kicked around. I'm independent. I had a career that was going. I was building my career. I was making good money. I got my pilot's license. I bought my own home. Like, I was incredibly ambitious in life and going places. I was part of the community. I was sitting on boards and making things happen. And you just don't ever want to be a fool. And I decided, no, Tiffany, just stop being, don't, it's okay. It's okay. And so I fell hard and adored him. And part of that is, him sharing stories with me about his childhood. And it made me feel incredibly close to him and his family. And I felt sorry for him in some areas, what his dad put their family through. And so when little red flags started showing up, like, he was in business with his family, little things showing up about them being the bad guy and him, and he's the victim and all that. I wanted to protect him. I wanted to be a family, a very united family. I got to be part of something with him, build our own that I never had before. Having my own family, having my own home and growing this life with him was so important. And obviously, it was more important than me paying attention to all of the little things that started showing up and cracking.
You're spot on, because I was wanted to ask you, how quickly did you see the first red flags?
To be honest, before we got married, and the reason I say that is because I was always a little insecure around him. He was very good looking. And now I know that he triangulated me with other women. I didn't know that's what it was at the time. But look, he dated very beautiful women before me, and he acted weird around them when, if we were all at the same event or something together. So I was always a little bit insecure that I wasn't pretty enough, or I wasn't sexy enough or skinny enough or whatever those things were. I always thought that internally. And now I never let him know any of that. But with a little bit of that insecurity, it's such an interesting dynamic, because on one side of my mouth, you talk about they love bomb you, but on the other side of your mouth, you can look back and say, it's like he knew some of those insecurities, right? And so yeah, his job, and he never took any effort, was to ever make me feel loved, right? It was just this fast and furious. But yet you look back, there was a distance that came with it, but you don't know it. You feel needy.
Yeah.
So you feel needy, you feel a little insecure, or, you know what, Tiffany, this is goofy. Put your walls down. Don't be needy. Everything is fine. That is okay. So I can look back, but the real true moment, if you can believe it, was actually our wedding night.
Wow. So let's back up for one more second. I want to hear that. But actually two things. How long did you date before you saw that first red flag? Were you together months, years?
Yeah, listen, he wanted to get married by the third month. By the third month, it was the summer of weddings. He was like literally in like 5 weddings, and he was incredibly, oh, what is the word? He was incredibly resentful.
Always resentful.
Yeah, he was resentful because it cost him money to rent a tux or a suit for every wedding. I mean, let's not forget, narcissists are cheap asses as well. They love the financial. They want everybody to think they have money. And look, a lot of narcissists do. I mean, truly, most narcissists are good looking. They're successful. They're charismatic. They've got things going on. Yeah, intelligent, a pillar of the community. They've got a lot of things going for them, right? But behind the scenes, I mean, my God, thank God for health insurance, because if you broke your arm, they would be pissed if they had to buy you a cast. I mean, those are just the truth, but they don't let anybody else know that.
Right, but that's so
right?
true. It's so true.
I mean, yeah, if you broke your arm in front of somebody else, they would become the center of attention. They'd be acting like they were concerned and, oh God, my wife, and we better get you help. But behind closed doors, they don't give a rat's ass. It costs them money. It took the spotlight off of them. They can't be bothered to take care of you or help you. I mean, those are just the truths.
Yeah, they are. So also, I want you to explain what triangulation means.
Triangulation means is they love to have, just say, like 3 pillars, right? Be a mother, a sister, a girlfriend, an ex, an employee, a friend, or whatever. It's almost like they subconsciously do this weird pit you against the other person, or they use that person to look. They sense all your vulnerabilities from the beginning, right? And so it's like they get this joy out of putting a spotlight on your vulnerability with somebody else. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, what I think you're saying is they expose your vulnerability with someone else to make you look weak or less
Yeah,
perfect than they think you ought to be.
absolutely.
Got it.
Absolutely. Or crazy, right? I use this metaphor all the time. They're the ones they keep pinching you and pinching you and pinching you under the table until you're finally like, God dang it, ow, that hurt. And then it's, the drama. Look at her. What is your problem? Look at her. She's overreacting. I told you she was a witch. I told you she was so dramatic and all that. So, yeah. But yeah.
Okay, so the big red flag came on your wedding night. Share what you
Yes. So that was, and I remember feeling this way on my wedding night. And again, you're like, just stuff it. This is ridiculous to feel this way because nothing is that obvious. It's a sense, it's a whole, it's so unexplainable that this is why people get themselves in such bad positions when they're with a narcissist, right? Because it's not this black and white outside obvious.
It's a million shades of gray. Then if you try to explain it, people think you're nuts and you're overreacting.
Absolutely. So on our wedding night, it was a beautiful wedding. It was fun, but he was disconnected to me. There was a distance between us that I just could not explain. And so when we got back to our home, it was about him partying. Okay. It was about him partying. It was about him looking good. It was about gifts. Like it was so important to him that people brought us gifts and money because we were going to Tahiti for our honeymoon, right? He's like, everybody better be writing us checks, which that embarrassed me, right? I didn't like that. That's not who I am at all. So anyway, so we're at our, everything dies down. It's time to go back to our hotel room. And he checked out. There was no intimacy. There was no affection. He never looked me in the eye. There was no, I love you. You're my wife. There was no romance. There was nothing. And, even when we decided to get married, I used to tease him. I used to make a joke about it, but it's really, it hurt me is he never even formally proposed to me. I was like, he was not Lance the romance at all, unless we had an audience. Then all of a sudden he wanted to dance with me and hand me flowers or say, look at my beautiful wife. But that was the only time he was kind, right? As if it allowed him to look like this really great guy.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling like I couldn't quite catch my breath thinking, God, is this is our wedding night? Really? Not even a kindness? You won't even look at me. You won't even say just something to acknowledge this big moment that we just got married. And he was 5 years older. So he was 35 and I was 30. So we both knew we waited a little bit later in life to meet each other, to get married and to start a life and start a family and take that journey, right? But there was none of that. He couldn't be bothered.
Wow.
Could not even be bothered.
Wow. So needless to say, your wedding night was a disappointment. And then I know you had a child in there, and then you got to the point where you told us at the beginning, you just hit the bottom, right? And you reached out to your friend and you finally told the truth.
I finally told the truth. And the three things that she wanted me to do, I'm very blessed. I'm very lucky. My father is a good man, and my friends that are close to me know that. So to call him, which I did, and he helped me find an attorney. And it's very difficult. I live in it's not a real small community, but it's still 70,000 people, and you grew up here and you know who the attorneys are. You just do. And if you're in the community, you know who's who and what's that. And it was really difficult to find a good attorney. And I literally had to name drop my dad's name to get an attorney.
Wow.
So I did those three things. I called my dad. I called a counselor. And this was in December of 2019. And I was still not able to really get in front of anybody till the end of January. And I had to beg and really just be honest. I'm in trouble. I'm in a lot of trouble here. I'm in trouble. I'm suicidal. I want out. I'm done. I can't do this. I'm not going to survive this. So I did. I thank God had the support of my dad. I reconnected with a girlfriend, a childhood girlfriend of mine, who she was one of my dearest friends on the planet. And 3 years after getting married, we had our first and only child. And I I reached out. We connected somehow. But anyway, I reached out to her and we went and had dinner together. And I think he was about 3 months old. And it was the first time I'd ever gone and done anything and had dinner with her. And one of the things I kind of shared with her was, he's lying to me about these things, and I just don't understand it. I don't understand. I've got his stepdad calling me at work, wanting to know if I ran out of gas on the highway. And where am I? I'm like, I'm right here. I'm in my office where you're calling me. No, I haven't gone anywhere. I haven't run out of gas. And
So he was telling them you were running out of gas to explain his absences.
yes.
Oh my God. Okay.
And all these things were happening, and then and so it was just all like this 2 years worth of all this strange stuff happening. And I was talking to her about it, and I said, am I losing my mind, or is this fucked up? And she said, Tiffany, you're not losing your mind. I have something to tell you. And I braced myself because I knew before she even said anything. And one of the things she said is, she said, the first year you guys were married, I was over helping you paint your walls, and he gave me a ride home. You asked the question of what took so long. Well, the reason it took so long is because he tried to kiss me. He asked for oral sex and told me that he thinks of me when he's in bed with you.
Oh my God.
And my whole world came crashing down. It's like in the movies, right? You get this tunnel vision and is this really happening? And I was angry with her because she never told me. And we chose to have a child together. We were married for a couple of years, and we thought, we're getting older, like, let's do this. I would have never, it took those choices away from me by not knowing. But I always knew something was wrong. And I still chose marriage. I chose because I didn't want to be a single mom.
Yeah.
I chose because, are you kidding me? And he had me so convinced that she was confused.
Wow. So he convinced you that you're better.
He convinced me that she was confused, that she took something wrong, and that she's actually the problem because she's the one that's, participating in infidelity in her marriage and all these things. And this is just who she was. And I am here to tell you, just saying this out loud and sharing this story with you, it is shocking. If you would have known who I was, I never fell for that crap. Like, I am very intuitive, and lying is one of those most gross, yucky, inexcusable, unforgivable things that is in my mind. And I'm a real canny to know when somebody's lying to me, and I always have. And so for him to pull this over on me is absolutely shocking. And I can look back and go, how, why? And it's because I chose marriage.
Yeah. And he chipped away at your self-esteem incrementally. If he had come out of the gate lying to you, you would have spotted it instantaneously. But instead, he was charming and wonderful, and he was everything he knew you wanted him to be, right? And a partner and a husband. So he masqueraded as that and sucked you in.
And was good.
Yeah.
Incredibly good at lying. Very good. And how they keep all those balls in the air is just mind-boggling, right?
Wow.
It just, so going back, that was really kind of, those were some real moments.
Sure. Okay. So you reach out to your friend, you shared everything. She gave you these 3 steps to do, and you did it. And you then knew what you had to do. Now, my question is, Did you hesitate at that point, or did you immediately take that step and get the hell out of there?
So, no, that's a really good question. And what I did is I started lining myself up. I
Okay.
started looking at my financials because I had taken a decade off
Okay.
and stayed home. And that's a story in itself too, right? I worked part-time for him. And then I also did some business development for an aviation company. So I needed to line all my ducks up. I needed to make sure that I landed on my feet. That was what was my biggest obstacle, concern, and place where I needed to get to. So I started internally planning. And I took it seriously. Like I got with my counselor and was like, here I am. Look at me. I'm a complete disaster and I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. And at that time, I had my memory was so bad and I couldn't even put my words together. I couldn't even make a sentence. I stopped functioning in life. Like I didn't participate at events. I didn't engage with my friends. I didn't engage on any of the invites to do volunteers or to do anything in part of the community or with my friends or parties or anything. I just couldn't. I didn't do well. So just trying to navigate through that, and then got with my attorney, and it still took me 2 years to leave.
Wow.
It still took me 2 years to leave. But there's some things that were a little bit out of my control, in all fairness. When I needed to land on my feet, I needed to go back to work. And I also needed to get some things done and taken care of. So I went and got some medical things taken care of. I got a hysterectomy done. All of a sudden you're like, okay, I have health insurance. Let me get all this. Now all of a sudden your teeth can't. Your teeth. You care about your teeth. You care about your contacts and your eyeglasses and all your female parts and your hormones and all your shit. You got to get all your shit done. Right? Because you have this mindset of that's all it's going to be. This is it. I'm not going to have it afterwards. Right. And then you're like, okay, so how do I, I went and opened a savings account, and I actually borrowed money from my dad to put in that savings account because he was so untrustworthy at this point. And they sense things. So I did all of that. And while I was healing after a hysterectomy that they cut me hip to hip because I had so many issues going on, which that's a story of having a narcissist husband have to take care of you. That is a complete nightmare. Here we are. And now we're going into COVID. Now we're in January, February of 2020. And here comes March. And I'm still healing. I can't drive yet. I can't do all these things. And my son is now coming home. And we're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. We're in lockdown. We're in COVID. School, this is it. So, that just wasn't going to work for me to leave at that point.
How could you?
I have nowhere to go. What are we going to do? I got to take care of my kiddo, right? So, and how do you go back to working during COVID? It's not like you can be, throwing resumes all over the place. So as most people that are in this situation, one thing leads to another, right? There's always something that's not allowing you to quote unquote leave, right? And so now we're in the summer and sports is happening and my son is traveling for baseball and I'm in Wyoming. So we're actually starting to open up a little bit compared to a lot of the other states. And so a lot of tournaments are coming here. So I'm tied up with that. Well, I got to get him to all of this. I got to get him here. How can I do that if I'm going back to work, and it's summer and we're still in COVID. And so then it comes fall. Well, are we going to open school? We're not quite sure. What does that look like? So Tiffany's not going out there yet and getting a job and landing on her feet. And now it's holidays. And then it's ski season where we're at skiing. My son was on a downhill race team. He was incredibly good. It's a big deal. It's travel. It's travel to Colorado, Montana, Wyoming. How am I going to get him there? What are we going to do? And so it took 2 years. It took 2 years.
I can see. I mean, even if you didn't have those things going on, sometimes people just need to get their legs under them emotionally before they can take that next step. So what made you reconsider and say, all right, I'm out of here?
In your heart, you have to finally cut that cord. you can't just walk around in this turmoil. You can't. And it felt like I'm not even being true to myself. As bad as he is, it is still hard to walk around knowing I'm leaving and him not knowing. It's still, and to be honest, what it really was is he was working out of town. And when he came home, he was so vindictive and so vicious and so insulting and cruel and abusive to me in front of our child. And and calling me filthy names and telling our son he doesn't have to listen to me and that I'm a stupid bitch and the only person he needs to pay attention to is him, and he'll tell him what he needs to do. And I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. And you get to a point where you're like, I got to get us out of here. I've got to get us out of here. I've got to protect my son. I can't. I don't want my son to turn out like him. I don't want my son to it's not healthy. This is not good for him. This is awful. I can't imagine what he's going through in this explosive, volatile environment. And it's teaching them the wrong path. And I have a job to do.
Yeah.
My job is to protect my son.
Yes.
And I was like, we're done. And I again, and I can't tell you how blessed I am when I knew I was going to start to cut that cord. I've started saving some money, stashing money here, stashing money there. And when I had my dad say, you know what, don't worry about it anymore. I'm not going to let you starve. It's going to be okay. And when I got to a place where I didn't care anymore, and I knew in my heart, and I got this piece of it's going to be okay. And when I say it's going to be okay, I don't mean because somebody might financially help me. It's because I don't give a shit anymore.
That's it.
It's going to be okay. You can have the house. You can have everything in it. I don't care if I'm in a studio apartment on the north side of town with a mattress, because that feels better than where I'm at. So that I knew I was going to be okay because I didn't care anymore.
Yeah, I get it. I hear you. That's inner strength right there. It's pure form.
And you get to a point where you got to get it on and get it over with.
Exactly.
I was going to be 50 years old. Like, time's up. I want to enter my second half of my life.
Yeah.
Let's get it going on. Let's do this. Right.
So you mentioned you had your dad supported you, your girlfriend supported you, you had a counselor and a good attorney. That's awesome.
Yes.
So what major obstacles did you face at the outset when you said, I'm out of here? What were your obstacles right there? What'd you face?
In terms of knowing I'm going to leave, what were my obstacles?
Yeah, when you said, I'm out of here, I got to go, I can't take this anymore, I'd rather live in the studio apartment on the mattress. That was
one of the
left. What were your obstacles when you left?
My first obstacles, look, when I was having him served, I'd never been so scared in my entire life. And I did not share with hardly anybody what was going on, except for, my girlfriend who I talked to who lived in Arizona, because she doesn't live here, right? Because I could not risk one iota of a hint of anything getting back to him that I was going to leave him. There was no way I was going to let that happen. Look, one of the questions that my attorney and my counselor asked me, and even my dad, is, do you think he'll kill you? Do you fear that he will kill you? And my answer is yes, I do fear that he will kill me, but not like the way you think. He will not go out of his way. He's not going to be somebody that, pulls out a gun and shoots me and then runs from the cops and has this big dramatic, case in court and all this crazy stuff. He would be somebody that if we went hiking, I would be near a cliff. If we went fishing in our boat, he knows I'm not a good swimmer. Those are the things that I worried about. It would be an accident. Mm. And in fact, at one point in the 20 years that I was with him, he always carried a gun in his truck, and it was in a holster, and it was a pistol. And in all those years, I always knew it was there, but I'd never seen it because he never took it out. He never once. It always stayed in the same spot. And when I finally served him, he pulled that gun out and brought it in from his truck, and he slammed it on the countertop facing me. So those are the things where you're like, you have to pause. You don't want to be dramatic. That's ridiculous. He's not going to do anything. But you have to think, but could he? And the fear is very real. And you have to listen to that. You can't be blind. You can't be stupid. So one of the things I did is I got a camera, a phone charger camera. And I did not tell one human being about it because one, I needed people to, if I had to, I needed people to see what he was like. It was so brutal. It was insidious. And two, to protect myself. And you can't tell anybody. You can't tell anybody what you're doing. You just can't. You can't risk it. So that was one of the obstacles. The second obstacle was once he got served, is getting him out of the house, and he would not leave. And so it made my life a living hell. And so it made it really difficult to concentrate, right? Concentrate on rebuilding my life and what to do and where to go and how to be. So one of the things is I came across the Rebecca Zung, and she, you could buy a course, and I had to be secret. I had to change all my passwords, and he still hacked all of that stuff. Funny story. I went out of town with my child for a sporting event, and I couldn't even tell you what time of year it was. Couldn't even tell you. Like, it's such a blur. It is, my memory and the timeline and all of that is just a disaster. And I came back and I had this email reply from Rebecca Zung's office. It said, "No problem, we will no longer contact you." And I opened it up. I'm like, what? He emailed her and said, "Do not ever contact me ever again," from my email.
Pretending to be you.
So there was a lot at risk. There's a lot of risk. Narcissists are always watching you, and you're naive to it, and you don't believe it, and you don't think that's going to happen to you. You think, no, that's crazy thinking. That's crazy talk. Or, oh my God, don't be so dramatic. Get it together. No, you take it very, very seriously, and it does happen, and they are watching you. They absolutely are.
Wow. So I guess he finally got out of the house because you were able to.
Yeah, he did get out of the house, but it took an incredibly dramatic moment. So we have a history, and not a lengthy history by any means, but of it, leading up to that, the cops had been called on him, and not by me. One incident, he broke my phone, so I couldn't even call the cops, right? And he came at me, and I was like, oh my God, this is going to hurt. This is going to suck. And they're about loyalty. And if you think that you have crossed them and you're not loyal to them, or you expose them in any way, the wrath, the punishment, it is real. This is when it gets deadly, right? Anyway, so he attacked me, and I actually had to leave the house, and my neighbors called.
Okay.
And I called his mother, and I don't know why I did this. I don't know where my head was, because I was shaking so bad, because her and I were not on good terms, because she's coddling him and I'm becoming the bad guy, and they're weaponizing my son against me. And it was incredibly painful. But for some reason, I called her and I said, "You better come get him because the cops are on their way." So she came and she took him. They literally cornered me, both of them, physically, and threatened to beat me up and grab my child and left. And the cops came, my parents came, and my dad's like, "Call the attorney." This is on Christmas.
Oh my gosh.
This was on Christmas. He was drunk and mean, and he'd already been served, and he wouldn't leave. But I tell you what, for as gross and yucky and as embarrassing as that moment was, and how horrific, I'm telling you what, that was the best thing that could have ever happened. You know why? Because his mommy took him out of the house, and he has never been back. And
Yeah,
that's what got him out of the house.
Okay. All right.
And I don't think that was even what was going through my mind. What was going through my mind at the time was, make it stop. Make him stop. Make it stop.
Wow.
So those were my biggest obstacles. And that was the best thing that could have happened.
Yep. And
after that, I sat still. It took me a few months, and was like, okay, so what do I want to be when I grow up? So I actually took this opportunity of, I'm right here. I am right here. I'm going to be 50 years old. I am starting all over back into being a professional again. I'm starting all over in my career right here, right now. What am I going to do? And so I sat still for like 3 months. And I mean, when I say still, like I cried and could hardly move, could hardly move. I prayed. I just got quiet, or I binge watched Netflix, and there was nothing in the middle, honest to God. And then I had to dust off the old resume, and that was daunting. And that was intimidating because you got to remember, I still can't talk. I still can't function. I'm like, I can't even put together a sentence, let alone nail an interview and go back to the kind of money I was making before, right? And so that was just so overwhelming. And I went on a limb and I was like, I'm going to hire somebody to help me get through this shit. And that's what I did. I got a career coach. Like, I am hands in. Like, let's go. Let's do that. And it took me to get a job at a law firm for doing some business development. And I mean, my God, even landing a job with him took 6 months. What he put me through. I mean, I had 3 written interviews, 3 verbal interviews, and in person, I had to do a cognitive test, a sales and marketing test, a brain test. I've never been through anything like that before. And then I started working at a law firm. Yeah.
All right.
And landed on my feet and made good money.
All right. So he's gone. You got the coach. You took the bull by the horns, so to speak. Along the way, did you meet someone, or is there a situation along the way that first appeared to be a positive thing, only to discover that the situation or the person was not as they appeared?
Yes. And that's such a good question, Amy, because when you've been through something like that, you're still a little hypervigilant, right? You're still kind of healing. Look, we're all kind of healing from something, right? But we also know healing's a bridge. That's not where you're supposed to stay, right? And so you're plugging along. You've finally landed back on your feet. You got a good job. You have peace. You can breathe. You're like, thank you, Jesus. And I'm working at this law firm, and I really bought into what he was selling, and the vision for the law firm and the growth, and to be part of it financially, professionally. All of that was really incredibly exciting to be part of something bigger for the first time in over a decade, right? So bought into it. And then all of a sudden these little things started happening. And you sit back and you're like, no, he's not a dirty bird. He's just got a vision, and he knows what he wants, and it's okay. And this is how it looks, and what operations are like at a law firm, right? And because I have never been exposed to that, so it's kind of new, it's exciting, and it's fascinating. And then it kept showing up in different ways, of the moods and the unreliability and the explosions to the staff of why they didn't do something right, when it really was always landing on him. He's the attorney. He's the firm owner, right? He's the one that's responsible for this. In fact, where have you been, dude? You don't come to work, and you wait for everything to be at the nth hour. You're texting us at 10 o'clock at night with your problem becoming our fucking problem. And we all show up because we all want to succeed. We're not going to let a client fail, and you just start to see some of the same patterns, and the fibs and the gaslighting, and that their problem is your problem, and their emergency is now your emergency. And then all of a sudden you're in an environment where you are doing nothing but doing cleanup in aisle 4 for this person. And I remember thinking, I did that for so long. If you can't, I swear to God, I can't, I'm not. And I actually, the years have gone by, and it's still my same counselor, right? God bless her soul. Thank God for the good ones out there, right? And I'm talking to her about it. And I go, am I losing my mind, or is that pretty fucked up? And she's like, well, let me tell you, Tiffany, come to find out, every employee that's ever worked there has landed at her doorstep. So she's counseled all of them, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, you got to be shitting me. I'm like, there can't be more of these narcissist fuckers out there, can there? You can't know more. It's such a it's a 0.0001% of the population. You can't tell me I divorced one and then went to work for one like that quick. That how many are there? That cannot be true. Am I paranoid? Do I just see everybody this way? Nope. No, because you know why? Because once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Exactly. Exactly. So you thought the law firm was this wonderful thing.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
Yes. And so one of the things he hired me to do was to build online classes, right? So in the court system, in the anybody who's been convicted of a DUI has to attend a victim impact panel class. And anybody who's been convicted of domestic violence or domestic abuse is required to attend a victim impact panel class.
Okay.
Well, COVID changed the landscape of all of that, and it allowed online victim impact panel classes to be allowed.
Yeah.
The judge allowed all of that. So what that was an amazing revenue source for the law firm if we created these online classes. And so one of the things that I did is it was a really fun project, first of all. It was also a bit overwhelming, and I'll get to why that was in here in just a minute. But one of the things, so for the domestic violence classes, I went and interviewed victims, right? And then I went and interviewed like law enforcement and other people that are involved in domestic violence. And they have their stories to tell. And so this is going to be the victim impact panel class that you attend with these real life folks. And I'm listening to this lady. She's out of Montana, and I'm interviewing her, and she's telling me her story, how she came from a middle upper class family on the East Coast somewhere and was going to college at a pretty prestigious college. She knew who she was and where she was going. She was studying psychology, and she was taking the path that she wanted to go work for the FBI. And while she was at college, she met this gentleman who was also in the criminal classes with her, and he was about law enforcement. He was getting his degree also in criminal investigations or criminal defense or justice or whatever the majors are. So they kind of, he love bombs her. And it's the first time she said she ever really felt in love. It took her until she was in college. And so they are an item. And then all of a sudden this ugliness starts showing up. And she's like, she sees these red flags. She's like, I'm smart. I'm out of here. I'm not putting up with that. So 6 months later, for some reason, he reconnects with her, rope-a-dopes her in, taking this camping trip and doing all this stuff. Well, it led to an oopsie pregnancy.
Oh.
So she too is like, I don't want to be a single mom. Yeah. He's trying to change. I feel sorry for him. He had this crazy childhood. We'll make it work. Well, so she has this baby with this man. He's incredibly narcissist. He becomes incredibly violent, and she can't get help because now she's living in his hometown, and his dad's the sheriff.
Oh.
And the insane story and just the background of being very educated and having, was going to knew who she was and was going to be this big professional and go in places. Yeah, go in places. Yes.
Like you were.
Yes. And I just remember listening to her story, and I was like, you have a really good story to tell. And so she doesn't know anything about me because I'm not sharing any of this, right? You don't share. You keep this crap to yourself. I said, you should. And at that time, Rebecca Zung had just started selling a program that was to teach you how to be a coach. And I ignored it and ignored those emails and blah, 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 blah for months, right? And I'm talking to this gal that I'm interviewing, and I said, I think you would be really good at this. You should go do this. And she's like, well, I would love to know more information. So I pull out the stuff and I'm looking at it to send it to her. And I'm like, I'm going to reach out. I'm going to see what they're saying, what they're doing. And I reach out and I'm like, I want to get this information to this gal. And they're like, well, are you interested? I'm like, no, I can't. I don't have the bandwidth for it. I don't have the capacity to take on other people's stuff. Like that's too much for me right now. I'm just now figuring out how to breathe and function in life. They're like, no, that you're not a counselor, Tiffany. You're not a lawyer, you're not a counselor. You don't have to take that on. This is all about strategy. And I was like, oh. Oh, so we get to talking. We have a couple meetings. They're like, you would be really good at this. And I'm like, I think you're right. I think I would love this. This is, yeah. So I took her program and started working on that. And then it continued the red flags, the yuckiness, and it started to get incredibly toxic at the law firm and got really close to the other attorneys. And I started talking to them about this. And I'm like, I'm thinking I want to do this and go out on my own and do this. So I got really, really good support. And for like the fourth time in the fourth year, that law firm lost their entire staff.
Wow.
And everybody went their own way. But I have all the support from that legal team. They still to this day is a really good resource. It's helped me network and get clients. And those were some real instrumental points that got me to where I am today. Yeah. And I love what I do.
I know you do. You just radiate it, clarify something. So based on my understanding of your story, you had a significant transformation when you became aware that the folks at the law firm were narcissists. Is that correct? Is that accurate?
Yes. And and once you just tell yourself the truth and get honest about it and accept it, because again, for the second time in my life, I'm like, no, just do your job. This is a really good job. You keep telling, you're like, this is a really, like I was off for a decade and I get to come and land on my feet and go do some stuff that I'm good at, and do business development and make things happen. Like that's where my magic is, right? I make things happen. But when their problem becomes your problem and it's never good enough, cheerio, pop, cheerio, I'm out.
Yeah, girl.
I am not living that way. I'm not going to be the dog to kick because of your inability to show up, because of your inability to roll your sleeves up and work and not show up and leave us on the hook to always clean up after you. I mean, he has a lot at stake.
Yeah.
And we have clients that their reputation, their lives, everything, their job, their money, their family, their homes are all at stake. And he can't be bothered to do his job and to show up. That's not I can't be part of that. I cannot.
Answer this maybe in a way, but I want to get really clear here so the listeners are clear. What valuable insights did you gain from your experience? And I'm talking marriage experience right up through saying adios to the law firm.
Really honestly, be truth to yourself, be honest with yourself and listen to your instinct. You are not losing your mind. It's going to hurt you. It's going to disappoint you. And it's okay.
You can trust yourself. That's what I hear you saying.
And some of the hard truths that come out of it is it's difficult, but it's also an opportunity for you to look in the mirror and take a step back and really reflect. We all end up here and we're like, how in the sweet Jesus, Lord, did I freaking ask get here? How on God's green earth did I get here? I was suicidal. I put a gun to my head. You're in such a dark, bad place and you can't admit that to people. And it's like, how did I go from this happy, go-getter, ambitious professional who wanted to be a mom, who made everything happen in our life? I created a beautiful home. I made sure we had great trips. How did I get here? And then how is this showing up again? And so it forces you to step back. And I would encourage everybody to use that opportunity to reflect of, it's not your fault, first of all, but there's some vulnerabilities in you, right? And what is that? Are you insecure about something? What needs to be healed in order for you not to fall prey to this? And again, it's a fine line because it really isn't your fault. Look, they rope-a-dope you. They're really good at it. This is not you. And because it is a slow chip. It's not black and white. It's not automatic. If somebody punched you at your first year of knowing them and blackened your eye, most people leave. Not everybody, but most people leave. But it's not that black and white. But anyway, and if it also means taking time to be still, do it. Absolutely do it.
Yeah.
Do it. And go find out what it is that you need to release. One of the things that I just listened to yesterday that I thought was so good, and it was that abuse is a form of rejection. And that took me back. I sat back and just think about what rejection does to you and how that makes you feel, right? What comes out of that? We self-hate, we self-loathe, we put our walls up, we're not worthy, I'm not going to let you hurt me, I'm not good enough, I'm not this, I'm not this. And so that keeps you stuck. And so use that opportunity to be like, I don't want to stay here. I'm not going to stay here. In fact, you and I have talked about that. It's like, you know what? Invest in yourself. Be curious. Get it on. Let's go. Your future is waiting for you. And you have helped me with RTT. I'm like, write a check for that shit. Let's go. Let's do this. Like everything. Dive in. I was like, when I woke up out of my coma, which I needed to do, but you can't stay there, it was all of a sudden, it was hands on deck. Let's go. I'm going to have somebody help me with my resume. And stayed curious, and I kept my head down and I kept going. Are there hard days? Yes. Were there days where you were exhausted? Yes. In fact, when you come out of something like this, you are very tired for a very long time. And just honor it. Just embrace it. It's okay. You don't have to be a rock star out the gate, but what you can do is you can start to learn to love yourself again, to trust yourself again, and go find that support system. I mean, even when you talk about modern mentor, and you brought that up this morning, it's a tribe that you fall in love with, and you never want to leave,
right?
Because for somebody who's come out of this, find yourself with people that inspire you, that are going places, that are making things happen. And it keeps that forward momentum for you. You have to surround yourself with that. Yeah, you still have your peeps and the people that have held your hand through the crap that you've gone through, but you've also got to aspire for wanting and doing more. And you absolutely should. It is worth it. Every minute. And there are days where, like, being invited on a podcast of, oh God, sweet Jesus, I hope I can remember my words. I hope I don't bore anybody with my weird shit, but you just do it, because there is a story out there for somebody, because somebody does need to hear you. And because you know what, God made us, and he made us all differently, and we all bring something to the table, and you're supposed to be who you're supposed to be. You're supposed to love people. You're supposed to serve people. The world needs you.
We're supposed to love ourselves.
Absolutely. And your RTT is helping even just do that, right? You're teaching me how to know that I'm enough, and to love myself, and to be yourself. Holy shit. Who knew? Who knew you were allowed to? It's
exactly.
So scary.
Right. Play small. Don't make anyone feel bad.
Yeah.
That.
No, why?
Yourself. Boldly go, boldly be, boldly do. That's what we're supposed to do. That's what we're here. People need what you have to offer. People need what I have to offer.
Yeah. And why play small? For who? For what? For what? What do you get out of it? Not one damn thing. You miss out.
That's right. Oh my God. Tiffine, I got to tell you, I so appreciate you coming on. You have turned your pain into purpose. You are an absolute Shero. I just want you to know. And it's an honor to know you, to share your story. I appreciate you sharing your story with me, for being vulnerable with me and the listeners. Just go, girl. Keep going. I'm blowing air under your wings over here.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for having me and thinking of me and inviting me. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm wishing you all peace and plenty. Until next time, this is Amy, your gray girlfriend.
Hey, it's Amy. Did you know that what we tell ourselves about ourselves impacts every decision we make? Every decision. So if you're feeling stuck in any aspect of your life, RTT can help. Want to know more? Go to amyblairlawson.com or click on the calendar link in the show notes to schedule your complimentary 30-minute consultation. Oh, one last thing. I can't forget the legal stuff. You know what I'm talking about. The language a lawyers write that I have to read to you. Well, here it goes. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. While I am a rapid transformational therapy practitioner, a certified divorce financial analyst, and a licensed investment advisor, this podcast is not intended as a substitute for a private session or a consultation. Got it? All right. Until next time, wishing you peace and plenty of all good things.